Welcome back to part 8 of my Stranger of Paradise Platinum Guide. Since we've completed the story and unlocked Chaos Mode, we're now going to focus on getting our gear level up as quickly as possible and unlocking the remaining jobs. So, in order to get to Chaos Mode, you just hit the touchpad, go to Chaos, it'll give you a little explanation of the difference as well as what artifacts are. And if you do have access to online, this is the fastest and easiest way. Make sure you set the difficulty to Chaos, go down to the Stymied, and if you press square again, you'll be able to set the mission range. You want to try and max it out to 300, because as you can see, the anima crystals are slightly lower as you go into the lower difficulties. So I would try, at least at first, to have it set to 300. If you can't find a room for whatever reason, then you can start slowly, backing down. Maybe start 280 to 300, so you're only losing out on one anima crystal if you don't get into a 300 one. And then just progressively lower until you can find a room. But for those of us that can't do the online, there is an alternative. Now Chaos Mode's kind of weird because the missions are not all available right off the bat. If you go to select a random mission, you'll see there's a lock next to start. Even on the side missions, you need anima crystals in order to unlock the mission to be able to run it. The only one we have available at the beginning is Illusion at Journey's End. So we're going to jump into that. And I sped up the footage just because this is something we've already seen. Nothing new or crazy in the level, just the enemies are going to be a lot beefier. Especially because we're under-geared right now, so just take your time with these first few guys until we get up to that hallway that has the bombs in it. That's where we can start getting some decent gear. And you'll see if you do get hit that they break you pretty much instantly, so slow and steady just for these first like 6-7 enemies. And these first two chests are just going to give you crests. We are going to need those later for another trophy, so it's good to grab those here while you can. Once you get these guys taken out, that bigger goblin will pop out of the vent here, and you are going to have to fight him, take him out. I'll show you if we go for the dark vent here, even with a powerful combo, we did absolutely nothing to it, so it's easier just to go for the goblin, use your resonance, have your friends help you. Even if you take a hit or two, you'll be fine. Once you do get him down, then you and your buddies can go mollywop this thing until it finally is breakable. And then remember, after this first set of cubes, there is a chest, but this one only has another crest in it. But here's where we want to get to, because we can just absorb their spells and throw them back at them for very quick kills. Start gathering some of that higher level equipment. And this is probably if you're like looking to get a specific affinity on your equipment. Once we get to the crystal or the cubes at the end of the hallway here, you can just rest and reset this hallway and run it a few times until you get what you're looking for. But as long as you have the appropriate average level for this mission, you should be fine. I'll go over a pretty safe way to handle the boss at the end here, so regardless of your gear level, you should be able to take him on. Grab this extra chest. If you didn't grab a fire off the bombs, just swap to one of your casters, use a quick fire on it. Be sure to put your class back, and then that's just some extra stuff. And we even get a red out of the deal. You'll be seeing those a lot more often in Chaos Mode. Eventually, you'll probably want to change your settings so that you're not picking up some of the less rare items. But we do want a few lower rarity items just to make a couple of trophies easier later on. So at least lock down one. If you can find like a lower level white item, lock that, and then you can dismantle the rest and just save that one item for the trophies later on. If you're done with your farming, got your gear or whatever, or if you're just plowing through, I'm going to kill a few more enemies throughout here, but if you want, as long as you're happy with the gear that you have, you're able to just run past everything, similar to how we did in the story playthrough. I would recommend taking on some of the enemy groups just so you can see the differences between Chaos Mode in terms of how much damage you put out, how much damage you can take, how quickly your soul shield drains, things like that. Test out Lightbringer if you never used it in the first one. And I would prioritize the Alpha Wolf in this group if you do decide to take them on, just because he has the ability to gather them all and make them all rush you at the same time, blitz you at the same time, things like that. So just play it careful, hang back, try and look for your opening to separate the Alpha Wolf from the rest of the pack. And use the resonance on your buddies so that they can help tank some of that damage. Eventually you'll get them down, and then the rest of the wolves will be pretty easy. And then you'll see here, this is one of the red items, that big pillar coming out of it. If you happen to come across one of those that also has like 2 other colors swirling, that would be an artifact, and we need one of those for a trophy. We end up getting one off the boss at the end here, but you might get lucky and it'll just drop out of a chest or one of the enemies that you kill along the way. So if you get that, then that's just an early trophy for you, and you may have even gotten it already. I'm just going to keep killing some of the enemies here. And you'll see that I'm optimizing a lot more regularly throughout the mission, not just waiting for the cubes. I'm just wanting to make sure that my gear average level gets up closer to the enemies as quickly as possible, just so that we're not going to be struggling so much and they won't be breaking us quite as quickly. Once we get them down, you can run up here, make sure you grab this other chest that's hidden behind the tower. Can't pass up free gear right now. And then down here, if you're comfortable with your weapon, if you feel like your weapon is high enough level that you can just go for the dark vents like we did initially, you can do that. There is a lot of enemies here, so you might get overwhelmed and taken down pretty quick if you do that. I'm just gonna try and slowly whittle them down until there's only a few left, and then I'll focus on the dark vents. These bats, of course, ruin my day when I go for that first one, so we'll get rid of them first. And then I should be free to take out these vents now. And once these two are out of the way, eventually some wolves will start popping out of the last dark vent there. They can get overwhelming because it'll be the alpha wolf at first, and then you'll see the little wolves popping out pretty regularly after that. So if you have the weapon for it, I would recommend just kind of kiting the first wolf back a little ways, let your companions get aggro, and then as soon as he's kind of focused on the other enemies, or the other, I guess they're your friends, his enemies, as soon as they're focused on him, go over to the vent here. As usual, once you shatter it, any of the remaining enemies will shatter and you'll be able to gather any gear that they would have dropped. As you approach this set of cubes up here, you'll unlock a trophy for gathering your first anima crystal. And that's kind of the main draw of what we're going to be doing today. We're looking for the most efficient way to get those anima crystals, because they're what we're going to use to obviously unlock the missions as we talked about, and then also compared to the anima shards that give you 4,000 XP for a class, if you go into your job trees and use those on a specific class, these ones will give you 10,000 XP. So it's just a more efficient way to level up all the jobs so that we can start unlocking the advanced jobs for all those trophies. You can come in here and start fighting these guys before you get the chest, or get the chest first and then just run past them. Whatever you want to do. I probably would recommend just running past them, because these guys all kind of gather up and bully beat on me for a little bit here. Eventually we do bring them all down. But if you do decide to just grab the chest and run, the next place to find a cactar, if you didn't find him in the very first place where he would have spawned, like when we first ran through this mission back at the very beginning of the game, the next place would be up in this room over here on the right, where we fought the first Tonberry that we ever fought. And then if he's still not there, then the final room just before the boss, he can show up behind a pillar. And that's where he is for me. I'm just going to bypass him because I'm pretty comfortable with the gear I have. But he's off to the right behind that pillar there. Once you've optimized and set up your gear and you're happy, prep yourself, get yourself pumped up for your first Chaos boss. And just for safety purposes, the way I recommend handling this is just kind of defensively. We're just going to wait for him to use an attack on us. If he's focused on our companions, we can go in and go for a swipe. But whenever the lock-on indicator's red, that means he's focused on us. So we're just going to wait for him to attack. And then we want to soul shield it and then just counter attack once or twice. You don't want to go for a full combo because he will interrupt it with his. But if you can get 1 or 2 hits in and then back up, then slowly you'll whittle him down and it's not too bad of a phase. And obviously in Chaos mode we do take a little bit more break damage whenever we're using that soul shield, so be kind of paying attention to that as you're going. If you block a few attacks in a row, then you might want to start dodging for a few until you can let that bar recharge. But mostly that's the whole point of this phase, is just soul shield and retaliate. Use the resonance on your buddies. If you have magic, that can make this phase go quicker too. Try and get the aggro onto your companions and then just start spamming magic at him. Since we're blocking so many attacks from him, MP's not really going to be an issue. Then phase 2, obviously it's the same as it was when we first fought him, just he's a little bit beefier. If you have these blazes stored up, you can hold on to him, wait for him to use his ice sword, and then as long as you hit him with 2 of those, that should cancel out the ice sword and he won't be able to sort of spam you with those ice pillar attack things. But we're going to be hanging back for the most part, hitting him with blaze, hitting him with ruin if we still have that equipped. If you have whatever you used on the final boss, if you used a long range command ability, you can spam him with that as you get the MP for it. But we mostly want to hang back in this phase because he has a few attacks that when you're up close and personal, they can just hit in a wide AoE. I've got Chaos Bringer. Remember, blazes come in phase in 2 balls when you're in phase 2, so be ready to grab both of those. After you kill him, his loot explosion for me dropped the first artifact, so that will pop a trophy if you haven't gotten one yet. And then we also get the Origin of True Chaos trophy, which the description is for beating the game on Chaos difficulty. I don't know if that's a bug that they're going to patch out later, but at the time of recording this, that's just any mission that you do on Chaos will pop that. So if you're doing online the first time you completed the Stymies, you probably got that as well. Then our reward here, you see we got the limit release for Swordsman, and we're going to need 3 of those because this one will make it so we can go all the way up to 55 now. And then we need 2 more to bring that cap all the way up to 99. And we'll cover that in the next episode or whenever we get done with the side missions, because we have to go through the side missions to get the other limit releases. Now you can see we don't quite have enough anima crystals to unlock the Stymied yet, so we can go all the way back to story difficulty and do Ebon Memories the Soul Seeker. That'll give us 2 more crystals. If you're confident enough, you can do it on action or hard mode. But it does have anima crystals as the reward, even in the lower difficulties, so. Hard mode, I think you get 4. Action, you get 3, and then in story, we get 2. And since we already got 2 from that first mission, we're just going to come straight in here and get these other 2 that we need to unlock the Stymied. Obviously these are bosses that you've already faced, so nothing new here, especially since we're back on the lower difficulty. Don't have to worry about your soul shield management so much. Positioning obviously matters. I screwed up here and he's all up against the wall and he trapped me in the corner there in the first phase, so I can't seem to get in there and try and break these wings like I want to. And of course I miss with my big attack, so I can't even break the head. You can activate your resonance just to make it go a little bit quicker. Get your buddies in there doing their damage. And then I go for one sort of final try getting these breaks here, and then finally he goes underground. I was trying to get him to go underground and reposition the whole time. And of course when he finally does do it, Ash hits him with a big attack that breaks him immediately. Little bit of a breather here. Be able to heal up, buff up if you're running classes that use buffs, things like that. And then you can grab this missive at the very beginning. And then the second boss should spawn in. It'll be the Cray Claw. Same thing as before. You can go for any one of the limbs, the legs, the tail, or the claw. I think I end up going for the claw in the first phase, and then we'll do legs in the second phase. Just be careful, soul shield his attacks, get out of the way of the wave cannon. And as soon as you get one break, one more combo after that will be enough to finish off the first phase. Then at the beginning of phase 2, I always like to back up and just see what he's going to open with. We got the good one here. Then you can go in, just try and get the break. Be watching for him to do his spin attack. His tail attacks, all that nonsense. He got broken there, and then I break his leg, so he got double broke for this phase, so that was a pretty quick finish. And then again, you'll get a breather, heal up, buff up, and then we'll have the Iron Giant. Phase 1 for him is going to be pretty much the same as before. Try and get in close. See what he opens with. Obviously he's just going to be doing non-elemental attacks to start, so you can get in there. Try and get on his backside so that the Great Wheel attack doesn't have two chances to hit you. If he uses the unblockables, those are good times to get in a lot of damage because he has a pretty long recovery animation. If he does use any of his magic abilities on you, obviously you can absorb those and throw them back at him. Or just dodge out of it and finish him off. Going into phase 2, same as before, he's going to start off with that lightning body attack, so make sure you back up initially, let him use that. And then I get unlucky here and he follows it up immediately with the lightning spiral, so you can just spam circle, try and absorb that as much as possible. And then just start following up with some heavy combos if you get the ability. Absorb any magic he throws at you. Fire it back at him, especially if he uses the lightning one. Either dodge or absorb the first phase, and then make sure you do grab the Thunderbolt, because when you fire that back at him, you can see that did a pretty large amount of break damage to him. So with that out of the way, you will unlock the first trophy for completing the side missions. And if you did struggle with that Chaos difficulty mission, the very first one, for some reason you just couldn't finish it off for whatever reason, you can just run this mission twice and you'll still get the anima crystals that we need. But once we have those, we're going to go back to Chaos mode, press square R1 to get to the mission list, and then we're going to look for the stymied here. Select mission level. Right now we can only unlock level 170, so we're going to go for that. And then we'll jump right into it. And this is a very straightforward mission. It's the whole reason that we're doing this, is just because of how easy this mission is. The only thing you want to make sure ahead of time is that you're bringing in the Berserker class. So as long as you have that equipped, go ahead and jump right into the mission here. We're just going to hug this right wall, running past this guy, into the next room, continue hugging the wall. As soon as you go past the bomb and the flan, we're going to take a left. Now we're hugging the left wall. You'll see these two goblins with a chest behind them. Just bypass them, grab the chest. That gets us the key that we need to get to the end of the area here. Then we're backtracking all the way to where that bomb and flan were, running past them and taking a left this time. Hug the left wall again, and you can either grab this chest each run or you can skip it. It's up to you. I like to grab it just for a little bit of extra gear each time. And then going through here, if your buddies are in a fight, they'll get teleported to you. This is the reason that we brought the Berserker, and I screw it up initially here. I went to use it and accidentally hit Soul Shield instead. And if you get broken like that, it removes the buff. But once you actually have it activated and can start hitting him, you'll see that he is just stun locked. So you can just activate the resonance on your companions and just go to town on him. You do want to be paying attention to your buff in the lower left though, because it will run out. As soon as it runs out, he'll be able to counter your attacks. You won't be keeping him staggered anymore. So as long as you have that Berserker in one of your classes, just swap to that. Back up, gain some space before it runs out, just in case he does immediately counter with one of his heavier attacks or something. You can see we got a bunch more anima crystals. You always want to try and unlock the highest level you can. We can't quite get to 190, we needed one more. So we're just going to jump into 180 here. And I'll speed this one up for the beginning. Same thing. Same route. You'll get to know the route very quickly. As soon as we get to the Marble at the end here, I am still rocking the same gear, level 129 that I was from that first Chaos mission that we ran. So you can see that this has no impact, no matter what gear you're running. As long as you activate Berserk and run in, you'll keep him staggered. But this time I'll let my Berserk run out just so you can see how quickly he can respond to that. Like almost instantly, as soon as my Berserk runs out, he slaps me up. So you kind of want to be watching. As soon as it gets low, that would be the opportunity to back up and refresh it. Just gain a little space, put it back on, and then you can rush back in. And even if he's mid-attack, you'll interrupt it. If you want things to go a little quicker, hitting him from the side or the back will be critical hits, obviously, so that will just speed things up slightly. But that just shows this is level 129 gear versus a 180 enemy. Took a little bit longer, but you're able to bring him down, so I mean, theoretically you could go straight into level 300 if you had the crystals for it. We get some more anima crystals here, so now we're going to use those. See if we can unlock the next one. We can, so we're going to go 2 head. So once you've optimized, you've got your new gear on. I would recommend at some point, you may have already done it because I said at the end of the last video, drop a few anima shards on your cyclic warrior so that you can unlock the Chaos Bringer ability. As soon as you've got that unlocked, make sure you go to your battle settings and swap out Lightbringer for it. It costs slightly less MP to activate, and you have unlimited MP while it's going. So it's just a better version all around. So as soon as you have that available, make sure that you put that one on. And then since we've unlocked the level 200 version of the mission, there is a trophy for that. So as soon as you finish off the Marble here, you'll get the Cycle of Darkness trophy for completing any Chaos mission at level 200 or above. And if you were doing the online mode, you'd have just got that right away. Put a few points into Thief, or just use the class so that you can unlock Flee. That's another great one to put on for a command ability. Since we start with 2 MP, that costs 1, Berserk costs 1. Just makes it so you can run through the mission quickly. Once you've ran it a few times and gotten the crystals, you'll finally unlock the level 300. Which is what we were aiming for this whole time. Run through that. As soon as you're done with that, you'll get your first level 300 weapon. There's no trophy for that or anything, but it's just kind of nice. And you'll get a ton of anima crystals based on how far behind you were. And then before you dismantle any of your gear, try and unlock the Polymath trophy. All that you have to do is put on any of the gear that has the same affinity. For me, I'm doing Thief right now. As soon as you get it to 400%, you get the Polymath trophy. So once you've got that out of the way, you're free to dismantle. Run the mission a few more times, gather up any anima crystals that you can. You don't have to max out all of your classes, just put enough points into them that you'll be able to unlock the jobs associated with them. So for me, that was anywhere from like level 18 to 21. However many anima crystals you need is going to be dependent on how much you leveled those throughout. But as soon as you've got enough crystals, you've leveled up all your classes, we can go through and get all of the advanced job trophies in one clean sweep here. Our plans for the next episode are going to be to start knocking out the side missions. We're going to go through the ones that we need to do in order to get the limit break for one of the classes. We're just going to do the swordsman just because we already got that one from that first mission here. If you want to do a different one, I'll show you how to look at what missions you're going to need for that. But for our purposes, we're just going to unlock that one, get it to 99, and then we'll just start knocking out side missions to get the trophy for completing all side missions. After that, we just have a couple of miscellaneous smithy trophies that we'll need stuff from the side missions for, and then we are done. Platinum. And then as soon as you've unlocked all of them, that will give you the Jack of all trades trophy as well, just for having all jobs unlocked. If you happen to unlock all the advanced classes in the base game, you'd have gotten that at the same time that you unlocked the Cyclic Warrior when you beat the game. So that'll do it for me today, but hopefully we'll see you in the next one, and as always, thank you for watching.